The night was silent on the small human colony. Stars glittered above, and the settlement rested in peace. Families slept inside their homes, unaware that danger was already moving in the darkness of space. The air was calm, but calmness often hides storms. Inside one small house, a child laughed before sleep. His mother tucked him into bed, whispering, "Good night, my little star. Tomorrow will be brighter." The boy smiled, holding a tiny wooden toy spaceship in his hand. For him, the universe was full of dreams, not danger. But far away, unseen by human eyes, alien ships drifted closer. Their hulls were black, blending into the void. Their voices hissed across hidden channels. Target acquired. No resistance. Expected, one alien whispered. Proceed quickly. No survivors, another replied coldly. Back on the ground, the colony's guards were few and tired. They had never faced a real attack. No alarms rang when the sky opened with a silent flash. The aliens did not come with loud thunder, they came like shadows. A sudden blast shattered the night. Houses crumbled, fire burst into the streets, and screams rose. Families ran, confused and terrified. Mothers pulled their children close. Fathers shouted in fear and anger. The aliens had landed, moving like hunters through smoke and flame. The child's mother woke to the sound of breaking glass. She pulled her son from bed. "Stay quiet, don't be afraid," she whispered, her heart racing, but the ground shook with heavy steps outside. The door trembled. Suddenly, the wall tore open with fire. Figures entered, tall, armored, their faces hidden by strange helmets. Their weapons glowed red. The mother screamed, holding her son tight. One alien raised its weapon. The child looked at them, eyes wide, still holding his toy spaceship. In that moment, innocence met cruelty. The alien fired. The toy fell to the ground, burned and broken. The child's laughter, which once filled the small home, was silenced forever. The mother cried out, but her voice was drowned by more explosions. Outside, neighbors screamed, buildings fell, the entire colony burning under merciless attack. The aliens spoke in their sharp tongue. "Search for others, leave nothing alive." Through smoke and fire, one human guard tried to fight. His rifle spat bullets against armored intruders. He shouted desperately, "Get back! You will not take this place!" But he was outnumbered, his resistance crushed within seconds. The colony had no chance. It was not a battle, it was slaughter. When dawn broke, silence returned. Smoke curled into the sky. Bodies lay in the ruins. The small wooden spaceship rested, in the dirt, blackened by fire. No one remained to pick it up. Above the destroyed colony, alien ships rose again, disappearing into the stars. They spoke with cruel laughter. "Humans are weak. They cry over their little ones. They do not understand the truth of war." But they were wrong. News of the attack spread quickly across the human colonies. The story of the dead child reached Earth within hours. People everywhere listened in horror. Parents held their children closer. Soldiers clenched their fists. In one command room, voices argued in anger. It was only a small colony. "Only one child," another said with cold logic, but an older officer stood, his voice shaking with fury. "Only one child. Do you understand nothing? That child was ours. They took his life, and they believe we will remain silent. They are mistaken." Everywhere, the story of the little boy became a symbol. His toy spaceship appeared in news broadcasts, a reminder of what had been lost. Ordinary workers, soldiers, leaders, everyone felt the same fire burning inside. The aliens thought humans would cry and forget. They thought humanity was too fragile to fight back, but grief turned to rage and rage to unity. In secret hangars, fleets began to gather. Engines roared, weapons were loaded, ships lined up like wolves ready to strike. Across the stars, messages spread. "The fleet is moving." The boy's mother survived, but her heart carried nothing but sorrow. She sat in silence, holding the scorched piece of her son's toy. Soldiers came to her, bowing their heads. "Your son will be remembered," one whispered. "Not as a victim, but as the spark that awakened us all." She looked at the stars, her voice breaking but strong. "Then promise me no child will ever suffer this way again." The soldier saluted. "On my life, I promise. Earth will answer." And far above, the stars seemed to burn brighter, as if the universe itself waited for humanity's reply. The child was gone, but his memory would not fade. His death was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. For in the silence after tragedy, humanity whispered a vow, and that vow would echo across the galaxy with fire, steel, and unstoppable fury. The news spread like fire through the colonies. The images of the destroyed settlement and the broken toy spaceship traveled across every screen, every channel, every network. People stopped working to watch. Families sat in silence, staring at the image of the small boy whose life was stolen. At first, there was only grief. Mothers wept, fathers clenched their jaws, children asked questions their parents could not answer. But grief slowly hardened into something stronger: rage. On Earth, the High Council gathered. The chamber was filled with voices, each one louder than the last. Screens lit up with images of burning homes and broken lives. "We cannot act blindly," one councilman said sharply. "We must not bring war over a single child." The words echoed coldly. Across the room, Admiral Karev rose from his chair. His face was pale, his voice sharp as steel. "A single child? That child was human. That child was ours. And if they can kill one, they will kill more. Do you not understand? This is not about one life. This is about all of us." The chamber fell silent. Even those who feared war could not argue with the truth in his voice. Meanwhile, in crowded streets, people gathered in protest. They held signs, some with the boy's face, others with words written in anger. "Never again! Protect our children!" A young woman shouted from a rooftop, her voice breaking but strong. "They think we are weak. They think we will kneel, but we will rise. For every child, for every family, Earth will rise." The crowd roared in agreement. The sound carried like thunder through the city. Across the stars, whispers began to reach alien ears. Some laughed. "Humans are noisy creatures. They cry and scream. They are soft." Others, however, felt unease. "Soft things break. But soft things also cut deep if you are careless." In secret, preparations had already begun. Deep within the mountains of Earth, massive hangars opened. One by one, colossal ships lit their engines. Their names carried weight: Resolute, Avenger, Eternal Flame. They were not just machines. They were humanity's fury, forged in steel. In a dim-lit workshop, an old engineer spoke quietly as he polished the hull of a fighter. His apprentice asked, "Why do we fight, sir? Why risk everything?" The old man looked at him, his eyes wet with tears he refused to hide. "Because they killed a child. Because they believe they can. And if we do nothing, they will never." "Stop!" The apprentice nodded. His hands shook, but not from fear, from determination. In orbit above Earth, training ships filled with new recruits. Some were only 18, barely out of school, but their eyes burned with purpose. A commander addressed them. "You are young. You are afraid. That is good. It means you are alive. But remember this: when you fight, you are not fighting for governments or power or glory. You fight for that child. You fight so that no one else is taken from us. Do not forget why we rise." The recruits stood straighter, fists clenched, voices joined as one. For the child, for humanity. But not all voices were united. In the shadows of politics, some still resisted. A councilwoman whispered nervously, "If we strike, we may start a war that never ends." Another replied coldly, "The war has already begun. We are only choosing when to fight back." Meanwhile, among alien councils, arguments grew. Some dismiss the humans. They grieve. Soon they will tire of their anger. Let them cry. But a few remembered old stories, warnings from centuries ago. "Do not touch their children," one elder hissed. "Humans are dangerous when they mourn." Back on Earth, Admiral Karev stood in a dark war room watching stars displayed on a massive screen. Each glowing light represented an enemy world. He whispered to himself, "They think we will bow. They think fear will silence us. They have no idea what storm is coming." A soldier entered the room, standing at attention. "Admiral, the fleet is ready." "Orders." Karev turned slowly, his voice heavy with unshakable resolve. "Prepare the message. Every ship, every world, every station. They must know why we come." The soldier nodded. Within hours, the message spread across human space. It was not a threat, not yet. It was a promise. "We do not forget. We do not forgive. You killed a child, and for that, we are coming. We are the fleet of Earth, and we are unstoppable." The words echoed across the stars, carried by thousands of transmitters. On alien worlds, people froze as the human voice filled their skies. Some laughed nervously, others trembled, but none could ignore it. In one alien chamber, a leader hissed, "They cannot be serious. All this for a single child." Another leaned forward, eyes dark. "Then you do not understand humans. To them a child is not small. A child is everything." Silence followed. Even those who mocked began to feel the weight of unease pressing on their hearts. Back on Earth, the boy's mother sat in her quiet home, staring at the night sky. She held the burned toy spaceship in her hand, her thumb brushing over its blackened edges. A soldier stood beside her, silent, respectful. Finally she spoke, her voice soft but filled with fire. "Make them remember him. Make them remember what they did." The soldier bowed his head. "They will remember, ma'am. For as long as the stars burn, they will remember." Above them, the sky shimmered as the fleet prepared to leave orbit. The engines glowed brighter than dawn. Thousands of voices joined in silent vow. The child was gone, but his memory had become a banner. His death was not an end. It was the beginning of a storm that would sweep across the galaxy. And somewhere, in the darkness between stars, the aliens waited, unaware that the greatest fury in the universe was already moving toward them. Darkness filled the endless sky above Earth, broken only by the shining lights of ships preparing for war. Docks stretched across orbit, glowing like a crown around the planet. Engines roared, metal clashed, and voices shouted through comms. Humanity was not resting. Humanity was building a storm. Inside a vast hangar, soldiers lined up as officers walked between them. Their boots echoed on the floor. The soldiers were young, but their eyes carried fire. An officer raised his voice. "Do you know why you stand?" "Here?" The room answered as one, their voices thunderous. "For the child! For humanity!" The officer's face hardened. "Remember this moment. Remember the silence before the storm. Soon the stars will carry our voices, and the galaxy will learn who we are." Ships came alive one by one, battleships, cruisers, carriers, all painted in steel and black. Some bore names carved with pride: Vengeance, Defiance, Guardian of Dawn. Every name carried a story, every ship a promise. In the control tower, Admiral Karev watched the fleet forming. His hands rested on the railing, his gaze heavy. A young captain beside him spoke nervously. "Sir, we've never moved this many ships at once. Do we really have the strength to win?" Karev's eyes did not move from the window. "Strength is not only numbers. Strength is purpose, and we have purpose the galaxy cannot understand." The captain swallowed hard, nodding. The silence of the Admiral's words carried more weight than any speech. Far across alien space, spies whispered of the growing fleet. Some laughed, calling it madness. "They rise for one child? They cannot be serious." Others felt unease, remembering stories of Earth's old wars. One alien commander sneered at the reports. "Humans are fragile. Their ships are loud, their weapons crude. We will crush them before they even arrive." But an elder in the room shook his head. His voice was low, almost a warning. "Do not mistake silence for weakness. Their storm is gathering, and when it comes, it will not stop." Back on Earth, factories burned through the night. Workers welded, hammered, and forged weapons without rest. Families sent letters to their soldiers, some filled with love, others with tears. The air was thick with both fear and pride. In one small house, a mother kissed her daughter goodbye. The girl wore a pilot's uniform, her helmet under her arm. "I have to go, Mum," the daughter said softly. "If I don't fight, others will lose their children too." The mother's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. "Then go, and promise me you'll come back." The daughter smiled faintly. "I'll try, but if I don't, promise me you'll remember why I left." The two embraced, knowing words would never be enough. As the fleet grew, so did the whispers of fear among the aliens. Some worlds began to prepare defenses, others sent messages begging for peace. But the fleet did not answer. It only grew, silent and unstoppable. Finally the day came. The fleet was ready. Hundreds of ships floated in formation above Earth, glowing against the black of space. It was a sight no human had ever seen before, an ocean of steel stretching across the heavens. In the command ship Eternal Flame, Admiral Karev stood before his officers. His voice was steady, calm, yet filled with power. "Today we rise, not for conquest, not for glory. We rise for justice. We rise for the one they thought forgotten. We rise because humanity does not kneel." His words echoed through every channel, reaching every ship. Soldiers, pilots, and engineers listened in silence, their hearts pounding. Then Karev's voice hardened. "When they ask why we come, give them this answer. We come because they killed a child. We come because they thought we would do nothing. We come to show them what it means to face Earth." The fleet roared with voices and engines. The stars shook with the sound. But just before the order was given, an urgent message arrived. A scout ship had intercepted alien transmissions. The enemy knew they were coming. Traps were already set in the border systems. A young officer rushed into the chamber. "Sir, the aliens are waiting for us. They've gathered fleets in the Varash sector. They want us to walk into an ambush." The room filled with tension. Some officers whispered nervously, "If we go straight, we'll lose thousands. Maybe we should delay." Karev raised his hand, silencing them. His eyes narrowed. "No, we will not delay. Let them think we are walking into their trap. Let them wait." A faint smile crossed his face. "Because when the storm breaks, no wall, no fleet, no trap will stop it." The officers exchanged looks. There was no fear left in the room, only determination. That night, as Earth slept, the fleet began to move. Engines ignited, light pouring into the dark sky. One by one, ships vanished into faster-than-light jumps, leaving Earth behind. From the ground, people looked up, watching the streaks of light. Some cried, some prayed, some stood in silence. All of them knew history was changing before their eyes. In the quiet of her home, the boy's mother held the burned toy spaceship close. She whispered into the night, "They are coming, my love. They are coming for you." And across the galaxy, alien worlds shivered as the first shadows of the human fleet spread into the void. The storm was no longer gathering. The storm had begun to move. The human fleet tore through the void, stars flashing past as faster-than-light drives carried them toward alien space. The silence of the journey was heavy, filled with unspoken fears. Every soldier, every pilot, every commander knew what waited. Ahead, an enemy trap. On the command ship Eternal Flame, Admiral Karev stood before the tactical screen. Red markers glowed like fire across the map, the Varash sector. Dozens of alien fleets were already gathered, waiting. A young officer swallowed hard. "Sir, they outnumber us 3-1. Karev's eyes narrowed. His voice was calm. Good. That means we won't have to waste time searching for them. The officer blinked, surprised. But sir, if they strike first. The admiral cut him off. They already struck first when they killed that child. Now it is our turn. Across the fleet, pilots sat ready in their cockpits. Fingers tapped. Nervously on controls, breaths came short and fast. Some whispered prayers, others muttered promises. One young pilot closed his eyes. This is for you, little one. You'll never be forgotten. Then the fleet dropped out of faster than light. Darkness exploded into chaos. Alien ships filled the sector, surrounding the humans like wolves. Their weapons lit up instantly, beams, slicing through space. The first volley shook the human fleet. Shields flared, alarms screamed. They're firing, defensive formations, an officer shouted. The aliens mocked across open channels. You came to die for a child, one sneered. Another laughed. We will erase you, and your tears will scatter with your ships. But the humans answered with fire. For the child, a pilot screamed as he launched his missiles. The fleet roared to life. Battleships unleashed their cannons. Carriers released waves of fighters. Destroyers darted forward with deadly precision. The black sky became a storm of light and fire. Alien ships began to fall, but they pressed harder. Their trap was ruthless. Ships emerging from hidden fields, weapons burning from every angle. A human cruiser exploded, fragments spinning into the void. Voices cried out through comms, then went silent forever. Fear threatened to spread, but Admiral Karev's voice cut through the chaos. Hold your ground. Do not fear their numbers. Remember why we fight. Every loss we take, every wound we bear, they will answer for it 1,000 times. His words burned through the fleet, steadying hands, hardening hearts. The battle raged on. 2 alien ships cornered a human destroyer, tearing into its shields. Just before it broke apart, reinforcements arrived. Human fighters swarmed in, cutting down the attackers. The destroyer limped away, scarred but alive. In another sector, an alien commander sneered at the chaos. Break their line, end this quickly. But then his officer cried out, Sir, their main guns charging. It was too late. The human battleship Vengeance fired its supercannon. A beam of white fire cut straight through the alien flagship, splitting it apart in a single shot. The explosion lit the void like a second sun. Panic spread among the alien ranks. They had expected weakness, not fury. Back on the eternal flame, Karev watched the battle unfold. He leaned forward. They think this is for revenge, but it is more. Send the message. A comm officer nodded, transmitting to every open channel. The voice of humanity thundered through the stars. You ask why we fight. We fight for the child you killed. We fight so no child will ever suffer your cruelty again. For one child and for all children after, we are here, and we will not stop. The message struck like a weapon. Across alien comms, silence followed. Some ships faltered, their commanders shaken, but others fought harder, desperate to crush the humans. Alien cruisers charged the center of the fleet, determined to break through. The clash was brutal, hull against hull, fire against fire. In the heart of the chaos, a human pilot screamed as his ship was hit. I can't hold. His voice cut off. His fighter burst into flames, spinning into the void. Another voice came immediately after. He gave his life. Keep pushing. Don't stop now. The fleet surged forward, turning pain into fury. Every loss fueled them. Every fallen comrade another reason to strike harder. At last, the alien lines began to break. Ships scattered, some fleeing, others crushed under human fire. The trap that was meant to destroy Earth's fleet had been shattered. On the alien command ship, the commander stared in disbelief. Impossible! They are only human. The elder beside him shook his head. His voice was low, grim. No, they are human. That is why you cannot stop them. When the last alien ship fell silent, the battlefield was a graveyard of fire and steel. Wreckage drifted, silent reminders of the storm. The human fleet floated in the ruins, scarred but unbroken. On every ship, voices rose in tired, shaken triumph. Admiral Karev stood on the bridge of the eternal flame, his gaze fixed on the stars ahead. His officers waited for his words. At last, he spoke. This was only the beginning. They thought to end us here. Instead, we showed them what it means to face Earth, and when they tell the story of this battle, they will remember one thing. He paused, his voice lowering into iron. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. And humanity does not stop. The fleet drifted forward, silent and deadly, like the storm that had only just begun. The ruins of Varash still burned when the human fleet moved on. Wreckage floated like broken bones across the void, the silence of the dead hanging heavy. But Earth's fleet did not stop. Engines lit again, and the storm carried forward. Word of the battle spread faster than light. Across alien worlds, news channels flashed with images of shattered cruisers, destroyed fleets, and human warships cutting through space like knives. Panic began to grow. On the planet Veyron, crowds filled the streets shouting at their leaders. "You promised they were weak. You said humans could not fight," one citizen screamed. An alien minister tried to calm them, raising trembling hands. "This was only one battle. Do not fear. Our allies will hold them." But the crowd's fear was stronger than his words. Someone shouted from the back, "Then why do the humans keep winning?" The minister could not answer. He felt the weight of silence, heavier than the screams. Meanwhile, in a hidden chamber on another alien world, commanders argued. A map of space glowed on the table, red marks showing the advance of the human fleet. "They destroyed Varash in hours," one commander said nervously. "We lost more ships than we can build in a year." Another slammed his fist on the table. "We must gather every fleet, strike them at once." An elder's voice cut through the noise. "And if we fail again, do you not understand? They are not fighting for land or power. They are fighting for memory, for vengeance. That makes them unstoppable." The room fell into silence. Fear crept into their hearts, though none wanted to admit it. Back in the human fleet, soldiers stood at attention as Admiral Karev gave his orders. "Our message is clear. Every world that aided in the child's death will face us. No excuses, no forgiveness." One young officer shifted uneasily. "Sir, what if innocent lives are caught in the fire?" Karev's gaze was hard. "Then their leaders should not have allowed murder in their name. Responsibility is theirs. Justice is ours." The fleet jumped again. Their next target, a supply world that had provided weapons to the raiders who killed the child. When the humans arrived, defenses opened fire instantly. Alien warships swarmed, desperate to hold the line. But the battle was short. Within an hour, the skies above the planet burned with falling wreckage. On the ground, cities shook as human ships entered orbit. Warnings echoed through loudspeakers. "This world gave weapons to murderers. For that, you will answer. This is not conquest. This is judgment." Panic filled the streets. Families hid, leaders begged for mercy, but the fleet did not pause. Precision strikes tore apart military bases, weapon factories, and command centers. The planet was left crippled, its armies broken, its pride in ashes. In the aftermath, alien refugees whispered to one another. They came like fire from the stars. They spoke only once, and then the sky fell. Fear spread faster than fire. On distant worlds, children cried at the mention of humans. Traders whispered of unstoppable ships that cut through fleets like paper. Soldiers trembled, knowing they might be next. In one alien capital, the High Council sat in terror. Reports arrived every hour. Lost colonies, shattered fleets, worlds begging for help. "They will not stop," one counselor whispered, his voice hollow. "Not until the galaxy itself fears them," another tried to argue. Perhaps we can offer peace. Send them tribute. The elder leader slammed the table. Peace, tribute, you do not understand. To humans, no gift, no gold, no apology. Can erase the death of a child. They are not here for bargains. They are here for justice. The council sat in silence, their hope collapsing. Back in the human fleet, tension hung in the air. Pilots cleaned their ships, engineers patched hulls, soldiers whispered among themselves. Some were haunted by what they had seen, the destruction, the fear in alien eyes. One pilot spoke quietly to his friend. "Do you ever wonder if we're going too far?" His friend shook his head. "They went too far first. They chose this war. We finish it." But the doubt lingered, hidden beneath the surface. Admiral Karev walked the bridge of the eternal flame. His face unreadable. A young messenger approached, holding a data slate. "Sir, intercepted alien transmissions. Whole worlds are surrendering before we even arrive." The Admiral read the report in silence. Then he looked to the stars and spoke quietly. "Good. Let them tremble. Let them remember the cost of a single child's life." The fleet pressed onward. With every battle, every strike, the galaxy changed. No longer did aliens mock humans, as weak or soft. Now the very mention of Earth carried fear. And yet, within the silence of his quarters, Karev sat alone, staring at the image of the boy, the small child who had started it all. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "We are winning, little one, but at what cost?" He closed his eyes, and for a moment, the unstoppable Admiral was just a man grieving for something that could never be restored. Outside, the fleet moved like a shadow of doom. Alien worlds locked their doors, leaders begged for mercy, children cried at the sound of engines in the sky. Humanity had become a storm, and the galaxy was drowning in its path. The galaxy lay trembling. Alien worlds whispered of the unstoppable storm called Earth. Entire fleets had been shattered, colonies burned, and leaders who once laughed at humans now cowered in fear. Yet, in the midst of victory, the human fleet did not celebrate. Engines glowed dimly, shields hummed, and soldiers stood in silence, their hearts heavy with what they had seen and done. The cost of justice weighed on them, but the mission was not yet complete. Admiral Karev walked the deck of the Eternal Flame, his boots echoing on metal floors. Behind him, officers reviewed reports, faces pale but determined. A young lieutenant approached nervously. "Sir, all targeted worlds have surrendered or been neutralized." "Orders?" Karev's eyes fixed on the stars ahead. "We send a message. One last message, not of war, but of warning. Let them know why we came, and why they must never test us again." The lieutenant hesitated. "Are you certain, sir? Some may interpret it as threat." The Admiral's voice hardened, calm but cold. "It is not a threat. It is truth. They chose this path when they killed the child. Now the galaxy will remember." The fleet fell silent. Every ship, every soldier waited. Even the pilots seemed to hold their breath as Karev prepared the broadcast. "Attention all alien civilizations." His voice began, calm and unwavering, echoing across space. "You have seen what happens when you underestimate humanity. You have seen our fleet strike without mercy, without pause, because of the innocent life you took. You thought a child was nothing. You were wrong. A child is everything." The transmission continued, reaching every world in seconds. Citizens and leaders alike stopped, staring at screens, listening. Some trembled in fear. Others whispered, in disbelief, "We do not forgive. We do not forget. Every act of cruelty, every innocent life taken, will be answered in kind. We are not just ships and weapons. We are the wrath of humanity. We are the storm that will not end." In a remote alien council chamber, the leader turned pale. They speak the truth. They are not bluffing." His aide whispered urgently, "We must make peace. They will destroy everything if we resist further." The elder counselor, who had long warned of human rage, nodded slowly. It is too late for some, but for those who survive, they will carry this warning forever. Never touch a child. Never. Back in the fleet, the soldiers listened in silence. Some clenched their fists, others lowered their heads. They had fought countless battles, but it was the memory of one child, the spark that started all this, that still burned strongest in their hearts. Karev turned to his officers. We leave the galaxy with one truth. Humanity is not weak. Humanity does not forgive, and humanity does not stop. Remember this always. A communications officer looked up, voice shaky. Sir, some worlds are already surrendering permanently. No fleets, no armies, just submission. The Admiral's eyes softened slightly, a shadow of sorrow crossing his face. Good. Let them live to remember. Let them know the cost of cruelty. But also, let them remember the child, not as a victim, but as the spark of our unity, our strength, and our fury. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, the silence of space returning after so much destruction. The fleet moved slowly, leaving behind burned and broken alien worlds. The engines hummed, steady and eternal, as if carrying the very promise of humanity itself. On one quiet colony far from the war, the boy's mother looked up at the sky. She held the scorched toy spaceship, her fingers tracing its broken edges. A soldier stood beside her, watching the stars fade as the fleet disappeared into the distance. "It is done," the soldier whispered. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "No child will suffer like him again, and the galaxy will never forget." The fleet, however, was not gone. It had vanished into the void, but its presence lingered. Across the stars, humans would always watch, always protect, always remember. A single life had sparked a force beyond imagination, unstoppable and eternal. Even as alien civilizations trembled and whispered warnings to one another, humanity's voice rang clear in every corner of the galaxy. Touch one human child again, and Earth will bring the storm to your skies. In the darkness of space, silence returned, but it was no longer calm. The galaxy had felt the fury of humans, and nothing would ever be the same. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of the universe, a single burned toy spaceship floated among the stars, a reminder that even the smallest life could ignite a fire that reshaped the galaxy. Humanity had answered the crime with unmatched power. Justice had been done. And the final message was clear. Earth's wrath was eternal, unstoppable, and unyielding.